Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's new Ultimate Laser Shot Predator, which is another throwback figure. Couldn't be more 90s than this. It's a crazy looking Predator. I don't know, is this line real popular? They keep making them, so they have to be making money, but to me, it's strictly marketed towards the people who had these figures as kids. If you didn't, I'm wondering if there's demand for it out there. Just on a personal note, I'm curious. If you didn't own these as kids, are you still buying them now? Or are you only buying them because you owned the old version as kids? Just curious. But it's a very unique looking Predator, so there's definitely some stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 8¼ inches to the top of his head, not his backpack thingy, which makes him about 20½ centimeters. And it is, for the most part, your average Predator underneath everything here. All of the articulation is pretty much standard. I will touch on it briefly, but it's just a regular Predator. And the rest is all, as far as I can tell, new stuff. I don't think there's any reused armor here, except for maybe a shoulder pad, like an inner shoulder pad like this, maybe. I guess the neck thingy in there, the gold thing, but I'm pretty sure the rest is all brand new stuff. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as the removable armor pieces, and I don't mean removable end user, just from the factory, glue-on, add-on pieces. But the core figure is pretty much standard. Aesthetically speaking, they did a pretty good job. It's almost all the same gold color with little hints of a more orangey gold mixed in, and that's pretty much it. There's a little bit of like a bronzish color, actually more of a coppery color, I guess, mixed in too. It looks pretty good. The body is dark purple with light purple. It's got almost like a comic book style shading on it though, which is interesting. Usually they have regular shading on these guys, but this one has very like cell shaded looking shading. Looks good though, I like it. His dreads are kind of a burgundy color. His little tassel thingies are ground down, I guess. I don't know. He's got a robot face that lights up. We'll get to that, but it lights up. That's pretty cool. And he's got a wrist thingy with a jewel in it, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, aesthetically speaking, they did a good job. I think it's pretty good, and I will give it an 8 out of 10. I say 8 because of the semi-comic and semi-non-comic styling. I don't know what's going on there. If it's supposed to be like that, then you can give it a higher score for yourself. Okay, on to the accessories, and boy do we have a bunch. First, let's just talk about the backpack. This isn't really an accessory, but it does have accessories connected to it. It slides on there, and it can fold forward, which is pretty cool, so that gives him his backpack that points forward. This one's on a giant ball peg and doesn't really do much. This one doesn't do much at all, except it has interchangeable tips. So we have the one spear tip, and then we also have the one little grappling hook tip, and those both peg in like that if you want, just on top of the gun, or in the gun. And then we also get a bendy connection for it, a grappling hook type connection, which is hard as hell to peg in, but it does peg in, and then you can peg the gun thing or the tips onto it, and it's also bendy, very bendy, very bendy. So you get those. And then for his wrist, you have the non-energized shield, and then you can also swap that out with the energized shield. Is translucent pink plastic, very pink plastic. And then for that hand also, we do have so we have the open hand, and then we have the fist hand for it. And for his gold hand, we have the open regular gold hand. Then we have the giant claw hand that's swappable, so that's pretty cool. And then there's still another, and then we have his faceplate, which is not something I'm particularly fond of. His faceplate, well, first of all, let's look at this part. His neutral face has the robot part on it, and it has a screw, and it has a slot for the don't use the battery option. So it's fairly well hidden, but there is still a screw right in the center of his head. And so that kind of blows. The button is back here, and that's fine. And it does light up really nicely. They did a good job with that. But I don't like at all that there is a screw showing on the top of his head. That is pretty much terrible. I should have included that with the aesthetic, but I can include it here with the accessories. Because we have this faceplate, which does hide it, and it does snap onto the figure technically. It's supposed to, but mine won't stay on really at all. It does fit well enough where if you turn it on, the eyes shine through. The eye shines through, but mine just doesn't stay on at all. So that sucks, but you do get the face mask, and it's as well painted as any other part of the figure. So accessory wise, this guy gets another 8. Pretty cool, but having the face mask not work is kind of a bummer. Having the grappling hook not really connect in very easily, also kind of a bummer. Alright, on to the articulation. It is your average Predator, but we'll go over it anyway. You have a ball peg head. It does move fairly nicely. Obviously it's relatively stiff, but it's pretty good. I really wish we could get just like a regular Predator in this color scheme with the red eye. It's very cool. This shoulder pad and this shoulder pad, if I can get to it, are soft. But this one down here, I mean, the ones inside are soft too, but they definitely inhibit range. Like, I can barely move his arms. And if I heat the whole thing up, I can probably move it more. But fresh out of the package, you're going to be very limited in range. You do get the full rotation. Works pretty well. These guys are flexible enough that it's not a problem. You can move the arms pretty well that way. This one's a little more difficult. You do get a bicep swivel on either side. You have double jointed elbows that work no problem. Except that one won't move. Let's try this one. Yeah, this one's no problem. So that one works. This one's stuck, but it should be fine. So double jointed elbows are fine. We also have a gauntlet swivel right here, and then the wrist has a hinge that's built into the forearm. The hand swaps out on top of that, which is unusual. Normally it's just like this, where you have the swivel built into the hand, or the hinge built into the hand. So that's odd. Diaphragm joint is at least a single ball peg, another ball peg down here. Mine just doesn't really move at all. All I can do is rotate it. So that's pretty limited. This piece is all soft and squishy, so you can still put them in the splits, no problem. Really good splits, and just want to point out that's a Predator, and there's a Spider-Man figure at their maximum range. And so we can move the legs all the way forward. They do stick together, which is still getting really, really tiresome. Figure that out, NECA, come on. That's just really not a good design. And they're floppy, so that sucks. But they have good range, at least. They have really good range. There's just really no excuse for them being floppy at this point. Thigh swivel, double jointed knees. Pretty limited though due to his big boots. And then the ankles are pretty much trash. These are some of the worst ball peg ankles we've seen from them. And I have to point something out. Two things. First of all, you can't bring the feet forward enough for him to balance straight up. He was just going to fall back constantly unless you really, really force the feet. So that's a problem. Other problem, at least on mine, the legs are way out of whack. One leg is apparently a lot longer than the other. I think because of the way the hips are connected, it's doing that. But there's nothing I can do about it to fix it without serious surgery. So I have one leg which is significantly longer than the other. Definite problem. So articulation wise on this guy, he only gets a 5 out of 10. So time for the final verdict. It's a crazy looking Predator, and for the most part all the craziness is pretty well done. We really only run into issues in the design aspect, which is that he has a screw on the top of his head, his face mask doesn't fit, his grappling hook doesn't fit, he has one leg longer than the other, and his ankles don't work, and a lot of his joints don't work. That sounds pretty terrible. Does that offset all of the cool stuff where it looks really nice? By the way, that looks like a T800 on his crotch. I don't know. For me, yes, it does offset it, but I can definitely see the people that think this looks really cool and want to buy this, and you probably won't have some of the issues I had, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7, I guess. I want to give it a lot higher score, but having a long leg and have the screw on the head, that just really drives me nuts. So 7 out of 10 I think is fair for me. Let me know what you would rate it though, and let me know if you had it as a kid. And that'll do it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and make sure you come back because I have new videos up just about every single day. Thousands already on the channel, so again, come back for that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.